Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's explosive deep dive into one of the most shocking moments in British television history, the infamous clash between beloved morning show host Lorraine Kelly and none other than Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, who found himself unceremoniously booted off her set after a heated argument that left viewers gasping and social media ablaze. Picture this, it's a crisp autumn morning in London, the kind where the fog clings to the Thames like a reluctant lover, and the ITV studios are buzzing with the usual pre-show energy, makeup artists stabbing at last-minute touch-ups, producers whispering frantic notes into earpieces, and the faint hum of anticipation as the cameras prepare to roll for another edition of The Lorraine Show. Lorraine, with her signature warm smile and no-nonsense Scottish charm, has been a staple of British breakfast television for decades, interviewing everyone from pop stars to politicians with a blend of empathy and sharp wit that keeps audiences hooked. But today, her guest list features royalty, or at least, what remains of it in the public eye. Prince Harry, fresh off promoting his latest charitable endeavor tied to mental health awareness, a cause close to his heart since his mother's tragic passing. The interview was billed as a light-hearted chat, a chance for Harry to connect with everyday viewers about resilience and vulnerability, topics he's championed through his memoir Spare and various podcasts. Yet, from the moment he strides onto the set in a tailored navy suit, his ginger hair neatly combed and that familiar half-smile playing on his lips, there's an undercurrent of tension in the air, subtle but unmistakable, like the distant rumble of thunder before a storm. As the theme music fades and Lorraine leans forward with her opening pleasantry, "Your Royal Highness, it's an absolute delight to have you here. Tell us, how's life treating you these days?" Harry responds with practiced ease, regaling tales of his Invictus Games triumphs and the quiet joys of fatherhood in Montecito. The audience chuckles at his anecdotes about Archie's mischievous antics with toy helicopters, and for a few blissful minutes, it feels like any other segment, warm, engaging, and utterly relatable. But then, Lorraine, ever the astute journalist, pivots with the precision of a fencer's thrust. "Harry, you've been so open about your struggles, but let's talk about the family rift. It's been years now, and the silence from Buckingham Palace is deafening. Do you ever regret the way things unfolded?" The question hangs there, innocent on the surface but loaded with the weight of unspoken accusations, tabloid headlines, and a nation's divided loyalties. Harry's smile falters, just for a split second, his blue eyes narrowing as he shifts in his seat, fingers drumming lightly on his knee, a telltale sign of discomfort for those who know him well. He launches into a measured defense, speaking of privacy invasions and the toll of relentless scrutiny, his voice steady but laced with that underlying edge of frustration that's become his trademark in post-royal life. Lorraine nods sympathetically at first, her head tilted in that classic empathetic pose, but her follow-up is a curveball. "Yet, isn't it true that your book painted rather vivid pictures of private moments? Some say it's hypocrisy to decry the press while feeding the beast yourself." The studio falls into a hush, the live audience exchanging wide-eyed glances, and in that pregnant pause, the spark ignites. Harry's response is swift and sharp. "Lorraine, with all due respect, Spare was my truth. A necessary catharsis, not a tabloid tell-all." But she doesn't back down, her Scottish brogue firming up like steel. "Truth to one is betrayal to another. Harry, your father, the king, has extended olive branches. Why the continued public sniping?" What follows is a verbal volley that escalates with each exchange, Harry's cheeks flushing as he counters with references to his military service and the toxic environment he fled, while Lorraine, unflinching, presses on the optics of his Netflix deals and American escapades, questioning if he's truly escaped the monarchy's shadow or merely traded one spotlight for another. The argument builds like a crescendo in a symphony, voices rising, gestures animating, a Harry leaning forward emphatically, Lorraine gesturing with open palms as if to corral his words back into civility. Viewers at home, sipping their morning tea, are transfixed. Twitter begins to light up with real-time reactions. #Lorraine vs Harry trending within minutes, memes sprouting like digital weeds. And just when it seems the tension might boil over into something irreparable, Lorraine, with the authority of a host who's seen it all, makes her move. "Prince Harry, I appreciate your candor, but this is a family show, and I won't have it devolving into mudslinging on air." Her words cut through the din like a knife, and before he can retort, she's signaling to the floor manager with a subtle nod. The cameras cut abruptly to a commercial break, but not before capturing Harry's stunned expression, mouth agape as he's escorted politely but firmly off the set by a team of unflappable assistants. The fallout is immediate and seismic. Headlines scream across every outlet from The Sun to The Guardian, royal commentators weigh in with gleeful analysis, and Harry's team issues a terse statement about misunderstandings, while Lorraine, back on air post-break with her trademark poise, quips, "Well, that was lively, wasn't it? Let's move on to the weather." But oh, the undercurrents run deep, revealing fractures not just in the Windsor family but in the very fabric of celebrity interviews, where the line between empathy and accountability blurs into oblivion. As we unpack this moment layer by layer, we'll explore the prelude to the storm, the psychological underbelly of royal exile, and what this ejection means for Harry's carefully curated narrative of redemption. Stay tuned, because this is just the beginning of our unraveling of the Lorraine Harry showdown, a tale as juicy as it is cautionary, reminding us that even princes aren't immune to the sharp edge of a Scottish tongue. To truly grasp the magnitude of that fateful on-air rejection, we must rewind the clock a few months, tracing the breadcrumb trail of promotional maneuvers and simmering resentments that led Prince Harry, once the heir to the throne, straight into Lorraine Kelly's crosshairs on that unassuming Tuesday morning. It all starts in the sun-drenched hills of California, where Harry and Meghan have carved out their post-Frogmore existence via a sprawling estate with avocado groves, therapy dogs, and a production company churning out content that's equal parts advocacy and autobiography. Harry's latest venture, a docuseries on global mental health disparities, is his bid to solidify his image as the philanthropist prince, unburdened by crowns but heavy with purpose. Invitations fly out to sympathetic outlets. Good Morning America gets a softball segment on fatherhood, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert a chuckle-filled monologue on British weather woes. But across the pond, the British press hungers for more, a chance to probe the prodigal son's return, even if virtual. Enter Lorraine Kelly, whose show has long been a neutral ground for royals. Diana once charmed her audience there. Camilla plugged her charities with wry humor. For Harry, appearing on Lorraine is a calculated risk, a nod to his roots, a bridge to the public he's accused of alienating. His team pitches it as an intimate conversation, emphasizing shared Scottish heritage, Lorraine's Dundee roots versus Harry's Inverness holidays, and mutual admiration for causes like veterans' welfare. Lorraine, flattered and intrigued, agrees, envisioning a segment that humanizes the man behind the headlines. Rehearsals are cordial. Pre-interview chats over tea reveal Harry's nerves masked by anecdotes about polo matches and his grandmother's corgis. Yet, whispers from insiders hint at Lorraine's private briefings, notes from producers urging her to keep it real, fueled by recent polls showing public fatigue with the Sussex saga. Only 32% of Brits view Harry favorably, per YouGov, a dip from his Diana-esque highs. As the big day approaches, Harry's flying in solo. Meghan's wisely opted for a Zoom cameo that's been nixed last minute amid scheduling conflicts, and the studio preps with extra security, anticipating fan fervor outside. The night before, Harry pens last-minute tweaks to his talking points, emphasizing reconciliation overtures like his birthday call to King Charles, ignored in the press but pivotal in his mind. Lorraine, meanwhile, pores over Spare's juiciest excerpts, her highlighter marking passages on family feuds and media manipulations, determined not to let the interview dissolve into fluff. Come dawn, as the limo whisks Harry through London's rain-slicked streets, paparazzi swarm like locusts, shouting questions about Andrew's scandals and Harry's tell-all regrets. He waves them off with a tight smile, steeling himself for the spotlight he both craves and curses. Backstage, the green room banter flows as Lorraine pops in with a mug of builder's tea, joking about her own royal wave practice in the mirror, but beneath it, a subtle power dynamic simmers. She's the host, the gatekeeper, he's the guest, vulnerable to her cues. As makeup works its magic, Harry glances at his phone, a supportive text from brother William. "No, Just Meghan's emoji heart. The isolation hits harder than expected. When the floor director calls 5 minutes, the air thickens. Lorraine's eyes meet his in the mirror, a silent pact of professionalism. But as they take their seats under the hot lights, mix-clipped and audience applauding, the script begins to unravel. Lorraine's first question lands softly, but her second to Harry. The memoir was brave, but has it healed or just reopened wounds? A elicits a pause longer than scripted. He deflects with charm, pivoting to invictus stories of wounded warriors finding solace in sport, drawing empathetic ahs from the crowd. Yet, Lorraine senses the dodge, her journalist's instinct kicking in like a sixth sense. She circles back, voice gentle but insistent. Those wounds include your family's, don't they? Charles has spoken of pain publicly now. Harry's jaw tightens. This isn't the softball he anticipated. He counters with a measured plea for understanding. The institution silenced us for years now. When I speak, it's betrayal. And the exchange teeters on the edge of rapport. But then, the pivot to Meghan. And how does the Duchess feel about the ongoing narrative that she's the villain in this fairy tale gone wrong? Harry's eyes flash. A territory too raw, too weaponized by tabloids. He leans in, voice dropping. That's exactly the problem, Lorraine. The narrative is fabricated, a distraction from real issues like racism in the firm. The word racism drops like a grenade, audience murmurs rising, and Lorraine, caught off guard but composed, pushes further. But your own words in the book describe tensions predating any racial lenses, sibling rivalries, parental pressures. It's here, in this tangle of personal history and public perception, that the argument ignites. Harry's frustration boiling over into accusations of complicity, Lorraine defending her right to ask the tough questions that viewers crave. The back and forth accelerates, words flying like sparks. Harry on the unfair portrayal of his wife, Lorraine on the one-sided storytelling in Sparia until the commercial break. Mercy becomes not a pause, but an exit strategy. As the ads roll, Harry's ushered away, the door clicking shut on what could have been a moment of bridge building, instead cementing his exile's isolation. This prelude isn't just logistics, it's a psychological chess game where every move foreshadows the checkmate, highlighting how fame's double-edged sword cuts deepest when wielded by those we least expect. In the chapters to come, we'll dissect the argument's fiery core, but for now, reflect on how one misplaced question can topple a prince's poise. Now, let's plunge into the heart of the maelstrom, the heated argument itself. That electrifying 5-minute torrent of words that transformed a routine interview into a cultural lightning rod, with Lorraine Kelly wielding her microphone like Excalibur and Prince Harry countering with the fervor of a man defending his last bastion of dignity. As the show resumes post a innocuous plug for breakfast cereals, the atmosphere in the studio has shifted palpably. The audience, sensing blood in the water, leans forward in their seats, a collective held breath as Lorraine, smoothing her blouse with a practiced hand, dives back in without preamble. Harry, before the break, we touched on family dynamics, so let's not shy away. The world wants to know if there's hope for reconciliation, or if the bridge is truly burned. Her tone is conversational, almost conspiratorial, but her eyes is sharp, unyielding, betray the intent to unearth truth, no matter the cost. Harry, still smarting from the earlier barb, exhales slowly. His response a masterclass in controlled emotion. Hope? Absolutely, Lorraine. I've always left the door open. Letters, calls, overtures ignored or leaked. It's not me closing it, it's the machine that protects the status quo at all costs. The crowd nods, a wave of sympathy rippling through. But Lorraine isn't buying the victim narrative wholesale. She interjects smoothly, yet, your actions at the Oprah interview, the Netflix series, they've amplified the discord. Haven't they? Painting the monarchy as cold, calculating. Is that fair to a father who's navigating cancer treatment amid global scrutiny? The mention of King Charles's health is public knowledge, but a fresh wound lands like a sucker punch. Harry's face pales, his fingers gripping the armrest as he fires back. Fair? My father deserves privacy in his illness, yes, but so did my mother in hers. The difference? The press hounded Diana to her death. And now they saint the same institutions that failed her. The invocation of Diana elevates the stakes, turning personal grievance into mythic vendetta, and the audience erupts in murmurs, some applauding Harry's passion, others shifting uncomfortably at the rawness. Lorraine, undeterred, presses her advantage. Diana would want unity, not division. Harry, your book details physical altercations with Williama brothers fighting like that, and you air it publicly? That's not healing, that's hemorrhage. Harry's voice rises, a rare crack in his composure. Hemorrhage. Spare was surgery. Lorraine cutting out the poison to save the patient. William and I will mend when the toxicity is addressed, not swept under palace carpets. The exchange accelerates, words overlapping in a cacophony of accusation and defense. Lorraine on the hypocrisy of privacy pleas from a Spotify podcaster. Harry retorting with the irony of a nation decrying my candor while devouring every scandalous detail. Gestures amplify the drama. Harry's hand slicing the air for emphasis. Lorraine's palm raised in a halting gesture, her brogue thickening with intensity. This isn't about devouring, it's about accountability. You've monetized your misery, lot of millions from memoirs while the family you critique funds your freedom. The lad slips out, a maternal scold laced with steel, and Harry bristles visibly, his reply a whip crack. Monetized? Try survived. You sit here in comfort, judging from afar, but try living under siege. Every step a headline, every dare a transaction. The studio temperature soars as crew members exchange glances, the floor manager hovering like a referee in a boxing ring. Viewers at home are glued, remotes forgotten, as hashtags Explodia #Team Lorraine, #Stand with Harry dividing friends and fueling family dinners for weeks. Lorraine, sensing the tipping point, attempts a pivot. Let's talk solutions. They know what would reconciliation look like for you? But Harry's too far gone, his words tumbling forth in a torrent. It looks like apology, acknowledgement of wrongs to Meghan, to me, to the truth we dared speak. The pushback is immediate. Apologies are two-way. Harry, your jabs at Kate, at the Fab Four fracturing of it's not olive branches that's thorns. The Fab Four reference stings, evoking happier times, and Harry's eyes well at tears of anger or grief. As he counters, thorns, the crown is the thorn bush, pricking all who near it. I left to protect my family from that fate. In this frenzy, the argument transcends gossip, touching on deeper themes, loyalty versus authenticity, institution versus individual, the eternal tug-of-war between duty and desire. Lorraine, ever the pro, maintains her footing, but cracks show a flush on her cheeks, a tremor in her laugh as she quips, "You're a tough nut, Your Highness Diana warned me." Royals bite back. The audience laughs nervously, but the levity shatters when Harry snaps, "Bite back? Try being mauled daily by the pack you represent." That's the line that breaks out of the direct assault on her profession, her integrity. Lorraine's expression hardens, a steel trap snapping shut. "This interview is over, Prince Harry. Security, please escort the Duke out." The words echo, cold and final, as ushers materialize from the wings. Harry's protest to this is censorship. Drowned by the swell of applause from a polarized crowd. Cut to black, hearts racing, the world forever changed by 5 minutes of unfiltered fury. This core clash isn't mere spat, it's a microcosm of fractured trust, where a host's duty clashes with a guest's guarded soul, leaving scars that no press release can salve. As we transition to the immediate repercussions, ponder, in the court of public opinion, who truly won the war of words? In the blistering aftermath of that on-set detonation, the corridors of power and the echo chambers of social media alike reverberate with the shockwaves of Lorraine Kelly's bold eviction of Prince Harry, a moment that not only trended globally but ignited a firestorm of debate on decorum, free speech, and the precarious perch of fallen royals in the entertainment coliseum. Mere seconds after the cameras fade to ads, the ITV control room erupts in controlled chaos, producers high-fiving over ratings gold, executives dialing crisis PR lines, while Lorraine, slipping into her dressing room, exhales a long, shaky breath, her hands trembling slightly as she reaches for a glass of water. "That was intense," she mutters to her mirror reflection, the adrenaline crash hitting like a wave, but beneath it, a quiet vindication. She'd held the line, refusing to let her platform become a Sussex soapbox.